So I'm here outside Renfrewshire Council office. I've left the prop here and I'm just going to see if I can get any interest. Again, it's just to let these people know that we're here and we need to start pressing them, you know. So, what do you think, mate?
What a rubbish.
Why?
Government trying to tell people what they can and can't fucking do as usual.
Well, what do you think? Do you think the Earth's a globe?
What? I don't give a fuck.
You don't care? Do you think it's important to know where you are?
I know where I'm at.
Where?
Paisley, Scotland, on Earth.
What is Earth though?
A big fucking planet we live on.
You think it's a round ball?
Could be fucking a square for all I know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Would you take it for granted that it is a globe?
Don't know. I've never. I can't say I've been up in space to say aye or not yet. So.
Do you think you would need to go to space in order to find out exactly where you were? What about science? Do you think science would be able to tell you?
Aye.
Right. So, do you know what physics is?
Aye.
You know what the physics of liquid, like this bottle I'm holding right now? So it's filled with water.
I know
right.
I know the basics. I don't know all the ins and outs.
Well, your everyday experiences is that water will take the shape of any container you put it in.
Aye.
What about the surface of it there? What would you say about the surface of it?
Same.
Flat?
No.
What would you say then?
It's beveled.
Where?
For the edge of the bottle to the middle, it's beveled.
What, meniscus, so that it dips down a wee bit?
Aye.
So you're getting tension on the sides of it, on the bottle. What if I was to put a wee ball in the bottom of that bottle? Would you see the shape of the ball on the top of the surface of the water?
I'm trying to remember this from memory. Probably not.
No, because that's physics. Water doesn't have the ability to support itself like that, does it?
No.
Right, so if the place is covered in water, and we know that water only takes the shape of containers, and the surface doesn't show shapes on its surface, how can you be living on a bar?
I don't fucking know.
What did you think there when you seen that?
A load of rubbish.
A load of rubbish?
I think the government try to tell people what they can and can't do again.
No, this is me that put that there.
Was it?
Aye. And what I'm trying to show people is that the government are lying to us about where we live.
We all know, everybody should know that.
So you know the government lie?
Every time they open their mouth they fucking lie.
Yeah. So you know that there's no real photographs for space?
No, because the radiation would kill us as soon as we try and lift the atmosphere.
Right. So
they say.
Right, so do you think they went to the moon?
No.
Of course they didn't. So do you think
because I don't think there's actually been 40s. There's no oxygen, no wind in space. So how the fuck can the flag flap?
Good.
You could pick up a bunch of rocks, scatter them about the place, and go, "This is the moon."
Yeah. How do you thrust in a vacuum? You don't.
Exactly.
You need something to push against. Aye, you alright? Oh, you know what I'm doing here. You want to take part? Aye, so you know the government are lying.
Aye, as soon as they open their mouth.
You know they're telling lies about going to the moon. So you know that they're telling lies about getting to space.
Aye.
Aye. So what I'm saying to you is that we don't live on a wee spinning ball. We live on a level plane.
I don't know about that, if it's a level plane or no.
Well, what would you think it is?
Could be any shape.
But it has to be something.
It's a shape of some sort, but I don't know what.
That's a measuring tool. See, water, we use that to construct when you can depend on it, you know, over and over and over again. For me, that's the most accurate measuring tool that anybody has in order to tell us where we actually live. So if the place is covered in liquid and we can test this stuff 100% of the time, and we know that it has to be a container or something.
Not necessarily. Gravity.
Well, you would need to give me practical examples. You know what natural science is?
Aye.
Would you?
I don't know 100% yet, but I know a bit about it.
Well, if I says to you the core of science is observable, measurable, testable and repeatable, you have to be able to observe stuff, you have to be able to test it, and you have to be able to repeat it. Would you say that's what science is?
Aye.
Right. So when you say gravity, I suggest you're going to say gravity clings the water and all this stuff to this wee ball.
Right, if they say it's a ball, the planet's supposed to be spinning about 1,000 miles an hour, maybe even faster, so the gravity obviously is pushing everything into the centre of the planet.
But see, if you go to the shows like the fairground and you go on the waltzers or something that spins you, does it pull you inwards or does it throw you outwards?
Tries to throw you out.
Right, so that's physics again, that's what we test in reality again. Right, so if we were spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, The oceans and all these kind of things wouldn't be stuck to the ball. But again, if you get one practical example of gravity and how water would be clung to a ball. If I get a ball right now for you and give you this water and ask you to pour it on the ball, what would happen?
It'd pour off it.
Exactly. So why would you then believe a story that with a mystical force like gravity when you can't ever observe or recreate it?
We constantly observe gravity.
Where?
We're walking a bit.
What do you mean?
If there wasn't gravity, we'd be flying a bit.
How do you work that out?
No, we need gravity to hold us to the ground.
So if I fill a helium balloon and I let it go and it rises up,
it's because of the helium. It's not the gravity isn't affecting the helium because it's a lighter object.
Well, you've just answered. You don't need gravity. You've just answered that the helium's lighter than the air, so it rises. You're heavier than the air, so you fall.
And so is water.
Exactly. So where's gravity?
Yeah. According to science, it's gravity fucking holds us up.
According to science or according to priestly institutions that tell you that?
Probably both.
Well, where did you hear about gravity?
When I was in school.
Right, so you believe it because you were taught it?
Aye.
That's the only place you've ever heard about it, isn't it?
That and about one shitty telly, and I don't really watch much of that.
Right, so TV and hearing about it in school is not really a scientific thing, is it? Do you trust your own senses?
Aye.
Right, so if I'm saying to you and I'm asking you to trust your own senses, you know what liquid's like, you know how it behaves every single day. You go for a bath, you fill your sink up, you fill your kettle up, you have a cup of tea, you go to a swimming pool, you go to a lake, you go to a loch. You know the water's always flat, don't you?
It's not always flat.
Of course it is. Well, this is waves.
Aye.
Well, wind. But if I were to say there was no wind...
It's always flat.
Right, so do you think the oceans are going to be any different?
No.
So you're not curious then to wonder what else is beyond this earth?
I have been. I mean, the same as thing where they say, oh, there's never been aliens, and then they go, oh, aliens crash landed in Roswell. Why the fuck would aliens come thousands upon thousands of miles and crash land and not invent seatbelts?
Fucking good point, mate.
Or some form of seatbelt to hold yourself if you die.
See, they have people focusing in up there and trying to convince you that it's all going on up there.
No.
And really for me it's across the way.
It's underneath me.
It makes me a sense that it's across the way.
Other people.
Well, so you think there's people live inside the earth?
No. What we should do, instead of looking up, we should look down.
I hear, because this is where we live.
Aye. We'll find, you dig under the ground, you'll find maybe a whole bunch of bones.
Yeah.
And they bones will tell you what happened 100, maybe 1,000 years ago. So why don't we just keep digging further down?
Well, this is it. What do you think, sir?
That's bizarre.
Do you think it's concerning that the governments are lying to us about where we actually live?
But I couldn't say, I wouldn't know about that, I couldn't comment.
Do you not think it's important?
I couldn't comment. Another time.
Okay. So, see, this is a problem we have with people. People think that it doesn't matter, but...
The older generation.
Do you think, I mean, if they're going to these extents to lie to us and tell us a story about where we are, then there must be something important.
Go to be.
So do you think you're going to look into this a wee bit further, or are you still not really caring?
They can lie all they like, I don't give a fuck anymore. I've stopped listening to the government.
What kind of questions do you ask yourself about life? What's important to you?
You live, you die, it's whatever the fuck you do in the middle.
Well, what's important to you though?
Nothing.
Nothing's important to you. You're just drifting through life, no giving a fuck, just going at it.
Aye, why not?
What if somebody offers you and says, well, by the way, here's where you are and this is what life's about and, you know, this is how it came to be. Would you want that information?
I would want to know about it.
Of course.
I would want the truth.
Right.
Not some cunt to lie to me.
So it is important to you then?
Aye. But I still want to give flying monkeys, I would just go my own way.
Do you think some of the confusion in life is because people don't know where they are? They don't know what life's about?
Probably.
Yeah. Some of the horrors we see, some of the injustice we see. Do you think there's a huge difference between the psychological mind state of, you know, a big bang and a wee delicate planet flying endlessly through the vacuum of space with no rhyme or reason to it, to the opposite, which is you're on a level plane that was deliberately created and that there's more to life than you're actually realising?
That's a possibility.
Right. So hopefully you'll go away and think about it, mate. Aye.
I constantly think about random shite.
Yeah. I want to say it's random shite, but I appreciate your honesty, man. I could only ask you for that, you know? Take care, bud. So you were looking at the wee alien thing there. Did you read the information on the front of it?
Yeah.
Tiny bit, aspects.
Well, it's basically saying you know, it's talking about physics and science. You know what science is?
Yeah.
Understand science? Just talking about liquid water and how it behaves.
Right.
Do you trust your senses?
Aye.
So if I say to you, liquid takes the shape of any container you put it in, and no matter what you date it, the surface is always flat and horizontal. Would you agree to that? That's your everyday experience of reality? You don't? Would you think different? What? You think that if I put a wee shape in the bottom of that bottle that I would see it on the surface of the water?
Didn't float it.
No, if I stuck it and it was sunk to the bottom,
Aye.
and then I looked at the surface of the water, would I see the shape on the surface of it?
Aye.
How?
Because it was leave a mark.
No, water doesn't show. So that's like saying if a boat sinks to the bottom of the sea, you can see the boat because you can see the shape of the boat in the top of the water.
Aye, you can see some sort of outline.
On the water.
Aye, you would see some sort of outline.
See, she's going to embarrass you here. She even knows what I'm saying, don't you?
Yeah.
Water's always flat, isn't it? Isn't it? Right, so if they're telling you that you live on a spinning ball and water, the place is covered in water, and we know water doesn't behave like that, how can it be a spinning ball? Do you believe it is a spinning ball we live on? Do you?
I don't know.
Do you? You're confused? Well, you trust yourself, you trust your senses, don't you? Right, so you know that you can experience these things every single day in your life. You don't need a special person coming with a certain degree to tell you that it behaves differently. That's what you observe every day of your life. So that one fact tells you that what they're telling you is a lie. Do you think that they've been to space?
No.
You don't?
No.
Do you think they went to the moon?
I think
So-
that'd be just a
So what if I says to you that the earth was actually level and it wasn't a ball?
But I wouldn't believe that.
Why?
Because just everything just goes round and round and round.
So do you believe it's a ball?
Aye.
Why?
But it's not flat.
How do you know?
Because
It's covered in water.
it just keeps going round and round.
Do you know what the horizon is?
And eventually we'll meet everybody.
Do you know what the horizon is? When you're at the sea or the beach and you look out
Aye, and it's beautiful.
and you see that line
Aye.
in front of your eyes, and it's called the horizon. What shape's it?
Straight level shape.
Right. Have you ever seen any curve anywhere?
No.
But it is round.
How though?
Because how do you know it's not?
Because I'm giving you physics, I'm giving you
Yeah.
observable stuff that you can check out for yourself. What if I say to you there's absolutely no photographs or actual videos for space, they're all just composite images?
I mean, don't I would believe that.
Well, that's what they've done.
It's flat.
Are you starting to think about this now?
Yeah.
Good on you.
So I'm going into high school, so I need to.
Oh well,
work it out.
you've got questions that you want to be asking. But my advice to you is you always need a practical example for things that they're telling you. Do you know what that means? So if somebody says to you, oh, by the way, there's a round ball with oceans stuck to it, and you go, right, well get me a round ball then, and show me what happens when I pour the water onto it, what's going to happen to the water?
It's just going to
Fall off. And what?
There'll be no water.
There'll be no water in it. And if there's nothing to hold the water, what's going to happen? It's just going to keep flowing.
Flowing and flowing and flowing.
That's how rivers work, isn't it? You've got a high point and the river runs down from the high point to the low point and then it gets to the sea. So do you think that when you're standing at the sea that the sea's sloping away from you but the water doesn't flow? That's ridiculous, is it not?
It's not straight like that.
I'll just stick to what I think it's round.
So if I says to you then, you know, you think the earth's round, it's just because of what you've been told and what you've seen on the TV,
Probably aye.
and you're quite happy just to believe in that. Well, that's honest, you know, that's fantastic.
It's getting round.
But the little one here, she's got Mary an inquisitive mind, and that's fantastic. You need to keep that up and keep asking questions, and don't believe anything until anybody can show you it practically. Do you know what practically means? Yeah. If I says to you I can fly, you're not going to believe me until I show you me flying. That right? Good on you. Aye. Good. Keep thinking about it.
Is that going to go on YouTube or something?
Aye.
Is it? So I can look out for it?
Yeah, I'll give you the name in a wee second.
Alright, Amy, because you're into stuff like that.
What do you think, guys?
Flat Earth.
Aye. Can you ask you why? Can I ask you, could you give me your best proof that it's round?
Well, I can't prove it because I'm not a astrophysicist.
So would it be safe to say you believe it because of what you see on the TV?
That's it.
Aye.
Or what you read in books or...
So if I gave you a book and I gave you pictures of the Loch Ness Monster, would you take it as scientific proof that it was true?
That's yet to be determined, is it?
What if I gave you pictures of unicorns and told you that they were true?
No, because you could probably trace that back to some fable a few hundred years ago.
So would you be safe to say that pictures and videos are no scientific proof?
They're part of the evidence.
So what
You
about...
can only really go with what you can see, what you can experiment with.
Well, exactly. So if I gave you physics, like right now I'm holding this bottle of water and there's a substance in there called water, liquid. We understand in natural science fluid mechanics and how liquids behave.
Right.
And if I says to you that a fluid will take the shape of its container and that the surface will always be horizontal and flat, would you agree with that, that that's your everyday experience of liquid on Earth?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So if the Earth's 80% covered in water and we know the physics of
Gravity
water,
holds it in place.
could you define it and give me a practical example of gravity?
Well, physicists don't know.
That's gravity.
Well, I could explain that things are more dense. So if I fill a helium balloon up and I let it go and it rises, why is it rising?
Because of gravity, it's lighter than air.
Because of gravity it's lighter than air, or just because it's lighter than air that it rises?
Both, isn't it?
Well, the mainstream science guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson will clearly tell you they don't have a clue what gravity actually is. The only reason they use it is because they have to have an explanation for why things are stuck upside down on a ball.
Yeah, but there's a different explanations for gravity. Newton says one thing, and other physicists have said other things.
Upside down. You don't get upside down in a ball.
How can you
But it's relative, so they need relativity. But here's the thing, you've got these common senses that you've got right now. You know where up is, you know where down is, you know where left and right and every other direction is.
Because of gravity.
No, because for me you've got an internal gyroscope that starts from a level plane. You can't have up, down...
Right, okay, right, so take that argument, you go up into space. There is no gravity, there is no up and there is no down.
You would have to prove that space exists first. You're assuming that that's true.
Jump down.
Sorry?
You don't jump down.
What do you mean?
Well, if I go like that, what am I doing? Am I jumping up, down, left or right? I'm
Well,
jumping
if
up,
you're
it's
jumping
only
up,
a name.
well, your body's, the mass of you is more dense than the air that you're in right now.
Yeah, and
so it
gravity
falls.
brings me back down.
Well,
So
so
I'm
falls.
jumping up and falling down.
So if we moved on for the word gravity, right, that in no way or shape or form provides anything measurable that the Earth is actually a globe. So if I ask you again, what would you have that would suggest to you that you lived on a globe?
There's a Japanese weather satellite that's so many thousands of miles out in space and it takes pictures of the Earth, which is a globe.
Well, these are assumptions, and if you go to these things, they'll tell you quite clearly that they're composite images, they're no actual photographs.
That doesn't mean they're fake, it means they're composites.
Composites, that's right.
Yeah, which
That's
means
right.
you take a bit of that image, a bit of that image, a bit of that image, put them together, and that's the best image you can get.
So for supposedly thousands and thousands of satellites up there, do you think they would have actual photographs and videos, would you know?
Well, they do, but if you were to, if you were to hold a tennis ball in front of your face there, it'd be flat to you. If you hold a tennis ball way over there, you say, well, it's round because you can see the curvature of it. And that's it's the same principle when a satellite goes up into space. It's too close to the Earth to get an actual
But it's exactly the
picture
same
of
in
the
an
Earth.
eclipse, isn't it? Because you can determine you only see one side, on an eclipse.
But this guy's going to turn around and say the moon's transparent.
No, I'm not
Well,
going to say
it's
any of
the-
these things. I'm not going to say any of these things.
That's the big argument, though, isn't it?
Well, he's quite dismissive. Thanks for your time anyway, guys. Appreciate you talking to me. See, that's the kind of thing you've got to deal with. You offer these guys, a polite conversation and, they all get antsy and arrogant and want to run away, because the pennies are starting to drop, So, don't let people like that intimidate you and don't let them affect you emotionally. You just got to laugh, thank them for their time and be polite and just let them go on with it, simple as that. But yet we've got a 5-6-year-old there who's more discerning than any of these so-called adults, because common sense kicks in. They've not had all that indoctrination, they've got a chance to have a look at it for themselves, And they're still there discussing it, look. See, it's in their mind. Are you alright? Yeah, so what are you saying?
Yeah, I believe that the earth is flat. I did believe in the hollow earth theory as well.
Yep. There might still be, I mean, there's
still
possibilities that there's...
potential.
Aye.
Even like Admiral Byrd, have you read that story as well?
Yep.
He flew both, did he not fly into a hole?
No, he done expeditions to Antarctica and he came back saying there was continents down there the size of America and stuff, so...
So maybe one ruler of the earth is in there too?
Well, there's all these kind of fables and stories. I stick purely to science though.
Aye.
I'm only interested in what we can actually prove, you know, I don't listen to some of these conspiracy stories until we can actually establish what they
You're
are.
actually right with the water level, you can't bend water.
Exactly.
My theory was, when I thought of the hollow earth, see the both openings, I thought when it comes in the hole, it comes back, see like this,
Yeah.
they're going back on itself and that's why we've got our tides.
Yep.
But in the middle we've got a central sun. I don't know how that works,
But you've heard about it, which is important, aye,
I'm
that's...
right into all this.
Good.
I'm daily, I'm YouTube to write out my vlogs every day.
Aye.
Every day, I love it.
Aye, good.
Same me, I've got the theory as well that Hitler done it too. He done his mission with his U-boat, went away down, went into the ice, and it's called New Swabia.
Yeah, that's right, New Schwabenland, yep.
Down there, like I says, and there's meant to be another race of beings that controls the earth, and you've got what they called again? You've got 2 seconds, I'll get this. The Anunnaki.
The Anunnaki.
Anunnaki over there. Supposedly not even that long ago as well.
So you're aware of all these...
I believe in all this too, I believe in Nibiru as well.
Well, I don't know, because, you know, I don't think there's such a thing as outer space the way they tell us that it actually is. Because you can't have a vacuum next to a positive pressure system without a barrier between them, so there has to be something solid up there. If you're going to say that there's a vacuum, there would have to be a barrier between the two of them.
See the Gary McKinnon thing with the hacking? The Scottish hacker?
Scottish guy, hacker.
He said when he went on his 6x9 flat inch back in the 90s or something, the screens were so big that it took ages when he hacked NASA. Came down and it said the earth was like a cigar.
Like a cylinder.
It had a globe at the end, aye. It was like a cylinder with a globe at the end, and that's what we live on that. But all that, and there's meant to be like spiked. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like all different cigars on this one thing it's where we think it's a bar, but we're there and there's more past the north and south. It just keeps going.
So there's a lot of people who think that there's more beyond where we
I
are.
believe in that, mate.
So if some people think this is just one pond and there's other ponds with other life in it and stuff.
It kind of takes care of my fucking life, this stuff. I think about it all.
Well, it's hugely important.
This a day to use when that? Always do.
It's important though, isn't it?
That is important. We're getting lighted for the start. I say to them, I believe in aliens and all that right I do.
Yep.
I don't believe in them as being aliens because we're aliens too. I don't believe it. We as humans are from here. I don't think, I said this to you this morning as well, didn't I? I says, how can we evolve from microscopic stuff to fish to this?
Well, you can never, they can't recreate any of that.
That's even true. We don't even know if it's true.
Yeah.
So I think we've been placed here. That's what my theory is anyway.
Well, I kind of think something like that as well, you know.
Hey buddy, I'm going to head. It's good
Right.
talking to you.
You too, buddy. Take it easy.
Hey buddy, see you later.
Cheers, my man. So, all walks of life, you know, many people questioning. Can I ask you what you think? Hi. Hi. 4. Come here.
Pit bull, aye. What's hit one in the face?
Can I ask you what you think of that? It's talking about physics and how liquid behaves, and how liquid will take the shape of any container. The surface will always be horizontal and flat, unless there's motion like wind and waves and currents and stuff like that. But we know how that stuff behaves. We test it and we apply it every single day in reality. Now they're trying to tell us that we live on a globe flying about the vacuum of space, but that one scientific observation and test tells us beyond any shadow of a doubt that that's not the case. Well, I would claim that. So I always ask people, you know, that the whole premise is Do you believe you live on a globe? Do you? Can I ask you why?
Just because that's what we're taught.
Well, that's pretty much the answer we get from everybody. Do you think that's justification for you to believe it just because you were told it?
I don't know, it's getting a bit heavy for me.
Do you think it's important to know exactly where you are?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it is important.
And do you think it'd be hugely important if there's a possibility that there's institutions telling us lies about where we are?
This is just getting a bit too heavy for me, I'm afraid.
Aye. Can I ask you, do you believe you live on a globe?
Yeah, probably do, yeah.
Can I ask you why it's round?
I've seen it
Where?
from the moon.
From the moon?
Yeah.
Have you been to the moon?
One of my friends says,
So they went to the moon?
that's an American guy.
Aye.
Is he an astronaut?
Well, see, look, you hear these stories yet, if you go to NASA in these places like this now, they'll say, oh, we lost all the telemetry data, we lost all the equipment, we can't get past the Van Allen radiation belts yet. We're supposed to believe that in the 60s they went to the moon, which is 238,000 miles outside of Earth apparently, according to these people. So if I says to you, alright, no problems, thank you very much for stopping anyway.
But it does attract your attention.
Yeah, great, fantastic, thanks for speaking to me. Just while I'm here, I thought I would highlight this now. Again, this is the Paisley Council building, and I've always been curious about this. This is quite a new structure, and for me, I'll zoom in on this just so you can see it. Now, if you have a look at this, that extends outwards and inwards to the building, and it is held up by pillars, and it basically looks like a UFO, a spaceship. That's pretty much what it looks like. I've never looked into, what the design is, why it was designed that way, or who designed it, but I think I'm going to have a wee bit of investigating in order to try and find this out. Can I ask you what you think of that, sir? Nah. Does it make sense? Nah. To know your everyday experience of how water behaves?
Think about it, do you?
Nah. Do you believe you live on a globe?
I'm undecided now.
You're undecided? Since when? Just this moment or?
About a year ago.
A year ago?
Reading a wee bit about it, but
Aye.
I mean, there's so many other lies I've been led to believe my whole life that now I'm not prepared to
believe any of it.
Just believe that we live on a globe, you know what I mean?
Excellent. So that's really good.
I don't believe it, I'm not saying that I do believe it, I'm just...
But you're open to questioning it, that's fantastic, that's the best anybody can ask. And for me that's the core of what science should actually be, never be a closed book, and everybody should always be open to investigation, So can I ask you, what was it you kind of looked into? Was it just kind of YouTube?
A guy on Facebook.
Or Facebook was it?
A guy called Darren Nisbet.
Darren Nisbet, I know Darren, yep.
I started reading what he's got to say about things, and I don't agree with his religious side of things. I think that's a lot of bullshit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, me too. Bye.
Thing, definitely.
It's really interesting, isn't it? But again, it's great that you're like that, and I would always say to people, base things on being a direct realist. And
well, see, about 5 years ago I started reading up on the Rothschilds and shit like that, and what they're doing. How they're storing all the wealth and all that, and that kind of opened my mind to everything. So from then on, having said that, I stopped reading that because I felt as if I was going crazy. Try to explain to other people that I would meet. Next time you see them across the road to avoid you.
Exactly.
Things like that.
Some people just don't want to know about it. They want to just kid on that everything's alright. Exactly, and that's the problem we've got. But the beauty about this question is that it's within everybody's direct experience. Like all the other conspiracy theories, you're having to listen to stories and wee bits of information here and there. Whereas the world that you're living in, you can assess directly yourself. So I always say to people, I mean, the horizon, it's a horizontal flat line, don't you?
I didn't even notice that was a wee alien.
And liquids, we know how a liquid behaves here on Earth, and you trust your senses, you're witnessing these things every day of your life, but yet the confusion comes is because they're offering you these images, you know, what you see on the TV screen. And for me, that's if the images don't match observed, tested reality, then that's where the problem lies. It's not that I'm going to try and fudge physics in order to fit these images. That's not how it works, you know. That's not how science should work anyway. Aye, that's excellent that you've actually started tapping into it and questioning it for yourself, man.
I watch a lot of things on YouTube and that as well, you know what I mean? Not so much about the flat earth theory yet, but...
Well, I'm on there, I've got a channel, I've been there for a wee while, and it's called Beyond the Imaginary Curve.
Beyond the Imaginary Curve?
Beyond the Imaginary Curve. And there's many common people coming together, there's some academic people coming into it, and we're kind of congregating there, and I've got an open platform that I go live on a Saturday night. So if you're free, you can check it out and hopefully join us in. Well, I'm on the night live actually. Gav, the boy with the degrees in maths and physics, he's going to be on there the night.
Cool.
And then we're obviously on a Saturday, which is an open platform, so I give out the phone number, and if you want to phone or message, or you can even come in and join us on the live event and say hello and let us know a wee bit of your story. That'd be great, man. Thanks, bud.
I'll look into that.
Take it easy, my man.
Right,
Take care.
Thank you.
Hi. Can I ask you what you think of that?
Yeah, it's quite interesting actually.
Yeah.
So that's about the
Hey, come here.
flat earth theory.
Yeah, well, depends what you mean by flat earth theory.
Okay, well my
I'd say-
brother-in-law's quite into it all, so...
So you've heard of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's rubbish, it thinks it's more like this or something.
Yeah, some people think it's circular, and
Yeah.
for me, I don't subscribe to any model. I just think it's important for science to have an honest look at it and have an
Definitely.
investigation into what the actual full dimensions of the reality actually are.
Cool. No, it's very interesting, it's
Yeah.
very eye-catching.
What do you think about that bit of information there?
I don't know much about it to be honest with you, but I think it's something worth looking into. I was seeing the YouTube tag there saying take a look, so
Yeah.
what is this, Beyond the Imaginary Curve?
Yeah, that's my
Is that your
channel.
page?
It's
Right,
Beyond
okay,
the Imaginary
cool.
Curve, yeah.
Cool, I'll definitely have a look at it. I'm very into
I do street
conspiracy
interviews and stuff. Well, I try and avoid a conspiracy theory. I try and stick to
Okay.
science, you
Okay,
know.
okay, cool.
But I mean, would you say that's your everyday observed experience of how liquid behaves?
Yeah, I would say so. Normally, like if you're thinking about the sea and stuff like that, probably aye.
Yeah,
or
so that-
thinking about filling up a sink and stuff, it's always level.
Sink, bathtub,
Yeah.
swimming pool. So do you ask that to people? Say why would you think the ocean would be any different?
Yep.
And for me,
And
you know,
I know you don't
it's
ever
not.
even actually think about it. I think.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it's better to kind of sometimes just
go on with it.
open your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Exactly.
100%. But I will look into it.
Thank you very much for
No
speaking.
problem.
Thank you.
No worries,
Take
that's
care.
cool.
Cheers.
See you later.
Sorry. What do you think, sir?
Flat Earth, innit?
What do you think?
What's that?
What do you think about that?
Aye, well, aye, you can't prove it, can you?
So, you're aware of the question then? You've said.
Aye,
Where have you heard about it?
If it's everywhere, innit? It's all over the net.
Aye.
Aye.
What do you think personally?
It's flat, mate. Oh, I couldn't give my view, mate, you know.
No, can I ask
I'm a
if you...
businessman, you know, so I might lose customers, so...
Well, can I ask if you think it's important
What's that?
to know about the truth about where we actually are?
Definitely, aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, but it's just a big lie, isn't it?
Aye.
These lying to us.
Exactly. So if they're lying about one faction of life, then where does it end?
It's all about money, isn't it?
Exactly, man.
Keeping us in our cage, that's what it is.
Exactly.
Aye.
Aye.
So is this yours, is it?
This is mine, aye. I do street interviews and go to universities and get in.
That guy, Brian Mullins, on the internet.
Brian Mullen, aye, you know
Got a
about Brian.
channel on that,
Aye, Balls Out Physics.
Balls Out Physics.
Yep, yep. There's so many now.
Aye, there is, aye.
Aye. But it's really interesting.
That's the thing, 20 years ago they didn't realise that we'd have the internet and we'd be able to communicate with each other.
Yep,
So they
exactly.
just put out any old rubbish.
Yep.
Just like that out, they believe it, you know.
Yep.
But they never realised technology we'd all get access to it.
Exactly.
And now they're paying the price.
And now we can start speaking to each
That's
other.
it,
This is
aye,
exactly
aye,
it.
And discuss things, just have a discussion, you know.
But it's great speaking to guys
Aye,
like yourself.
aye,
It's
it's good,
it's nice to hear you so many different walks of life who have
That's
actually
it,
heard
aye,
about this
that's
thing
it,
now.
aye,
You know.
I feel know about it, aye.
Aye. Excellent.
Aye.
Good man.
It's just, Unless you go there yourself, you know, you can't afford it.
Well, do you think you'd need to go to space, or can you think you could find out through physics and experiment?
Aye, well.
Well, as I've put there, you know, that's how liquids behave and how we experience them. So I say that to people all the time. Do you think the ocean would be any different to a pool or a lake, or you know?
If you know yourself, when you're on a plane and if you're going on holiday, you look down at the ocean and the sea, it's grey. It's no blue.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Aye. And when you're on a plane, I mean, the horizon's always still parallel and flat.
It's not something I've really noticed much, but aye, it is, aye. Everything comes to the horizon to the eye, innit?
Yep, yep.
But I mean, I suppose you could sort it out with mathematics, you know, if you get into that.
Well, mathematics is a formal science, it's a language, and they've used that to tell us the lie in the first place. So we need natural science, we need substance and measurement, you know?
Aye. I mean, even the speed of light, they've sort of proved that. Gravity, they've not even proved gravity.
Exactly.
They've no idea what it is.
Exactly.
There's a thing on the NASA website, by the way, that there's different levels of the atmosphere. And I'm not sure there's a topsphere and all that, but there's one level where there's an electric current that they've not figured out what it is yet, you know?
Right.
And even they say that, NASA say...
Do you believe they went to the moon?
No, no chance, man. Have you seen the video?
What one?
Oh, the guy's short t-shirts and then the Baldur's gloves on the space, on the rocket.
Have you seen the one with the dogs burying a bone on the moon?
Aye.
It's so easy to show us any images.
Right, mate, you know, it just shows you how easily fooled humankind can be, you
exactly.
know. It's back in the old days with the Inca gods and all that, you know.
Yeah.
Even today, you know, certain religions believe there's a big man in the sky down there looking down on us.
Yep.
You know, so don't do the wrong thing.
Aye.
There's a big man in the sky.
Do you think it's changing? Do you think we're going to start figuring all these things out?
Aye, new age, innit?
Yeah. Cheers for talking, buddy.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it, man. Can I ask you what you think about that, sir? Can I ask you what you think?
I don't know.
You don't know?
What do you want me to think?
Well, it's just, I mean, is that what you experience every day in your life?
That's what we experience every day in our lives, aye.
Right, so would you trust your natural senses and your everyday experience over images? So that then again, you know, that's physics, that's science, it's testable, repeatable, measurable by everybody alive. So that one, for me, that's the most accurate measuring tool anybody has in order for establishing level. If the Earth's 80% covered in it, yeah, they're trying to show us these cartoon images to say that we live on a ball with oceans clung to it, and the oceans are curved. So the oceans are not only curved, but they're displaying convexity upon their surface. Do you think that's preposterous?
Not really, no.
You don't? Can I ask you why?
Because I think you'll find that if you zoom out, the mass of the Earth that it is, when we're close in, everything appears that way. Closer in you get, the more flat everything seems, right down to cells and atoms.
Yep.
Further out you go, you zoom in out, then yeah, that's probably the case.
Yeah.
So, aye.
So do you think
gravity? You know.
So you believe that they go to space, and you believe these images that they show you then?
Yes.
So you are contradicting your everyday observed reality. So you would have to be ignoring your own common sense experience in order to, you know, accept these images.
Quite often your mind can play tricks on you. You've seen plenty of things of images where you think, oh, that's moving, but it's not. It's the way colours lie beside each other. Possibly a similar idea there.
So if I gave you images of Nessie, and I says to you, look, I've got 500 of these pictures, do you now believe Nessie's real? Would you believe it? Or a pink unicorn, would you believe that?
Would you believe a pink unicorn? Maybe Nessie.
Maybe Nessie.
Dinosaurs did exist.
So my point.
Say they don't still.
Well, my point being is, you know, we can't really depend. You couldn't call an image, especially these days with manipulation. You couldn't say that that's scientific proof of anything, could you?
That's true.
So if we remove the images from the equation and we get back to natural physics and things that we can test and observe, I mean, that's a measuring tool. So you would have to be saying, well, I don't trust my senses, I don't think liquid behaves like that because I believe these images. And I think that's absurd.
Perhaps, where are you from?
I'm from Paisley.
No, where are you? Is this your own beliefs, or
No, I don't have any beliefs. No, I've got my channel called Beyond the Imaginary Curve. We go to universities, we go out in the street and we interview people. We've got so many various walks of life who are now questioning the validity of the claim that we live on a spinning ball in the vacuum of space. And for me, it's an ongoing investigation.
Fair enough.
Would you say science should remain an open book and always be open to question?
Oh, aye.
Aye.
Definitely.
Yeah. So based on that wee bit of information, this short discussion, you think you're going to question where you actually live?
I do question things anyway, but I have to say that they've been questioning the earth for a long time and its shape and all the rest of it, and I'm happy that they've proved that we live on a ball.
Yeah.
But
so you think they've proved it?
I think they have.
Could I ask you, where do you think they've proved it?
Well, we've seen enough images of the earth at a distance, so I'm happy that we do live on a ball.
So if we start...
You're obviously trying to prove the world is flat, which is fair enough.
Well, I would say level. Flat's a kind of tarnished word.
Right, okay, level.
Yeah.
Okay. But you know what I'm saying,
Aye.
twisting my words here, but...
Yeah. But I would go back again and say, if the show is on the TV, images, thousands of images of unicorns, you're going to start believing they're real.
See what happens. I really need to go.
Thanks very much for talking and interacting.
Where's this getting showed?
Beyond the Imaginary Curve is the channel. As I say, there's many street interviews on there and stuff. It's not about taking the piss or ridiculing anybody. It's just an honest bit of journalism, So, alright buddy.
No problem.
Thank you.
Cheers.